Right, welcome to Ford versus Ferrari. This is a little bit of a late review, I guess you could say. I've only just had the chance to see this film, and I wish I'd seen it sooner. This is absolutely fantastic. I guess realistically we'll talk some brief spoilers towards the end, but for the most part we'll do non-spoilers, I guess, because the trailers don't actually reveal anything. Now, I'm a petrol head. Those that watch my channel will see it. I've put 2 cars on my channel, two of my own cars, and I work on them occasionally. And this film, obviously, I loved it as a petrol head, and I went with another petrol head, again a chap who's been on my channel before, but we also went with his wife, who is not a petrol head, and she really enjoyed this as well. And walking out of the theatre, it would appear that this doesn't just appeal to people interested in cars, and it absolutely doesn't, and I would highly recommend this film to anyone. I watched this in IMAX, and it was worth every single penny of an IMAX screening. This film is just so technically perfect, whilst also being perfect on a subjective level as well. It's just so good. I was invested, I was happy, I was shocked, I was angry, I was engaged, I was joyful. So many ranges of emotions from this film. And this comes to us from James Mangold, who last directed Logan, but before that hadn't really done an awful lot. Before Logan he'd done The Wolverine, which I don't think really sang to anyone. And then he was doing some TV series, Vegas, NYC 22, movie Night and Day. He did 3:10 to Yuma, which is a fantastic film. Walk the Line, again a fantastic film. So he has, periodically over time done some really good stuff, then not so good stuff. But his directing is on point, and it just seems to get better and better. Like I say, from a technical perspective, this film is absolutely staggering. Now, in terms of the actors, you've obviously got Matt Damon playing the late, great Carroll Shelby. You've got Christian Bale playing Ken Miles. And for the most part, they are pretty unrecognisable in their roles. Christian Bale more so than than Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby. Christian Bale really does do kind of character pieces really well. And it's very funny, Christian Bale being Welsh, but hearing him do a British accent, because he never does a British accent, even though he's from Great Britain, or the United Kingdom, should I say, is quite peculiar, but he does it. And it took a little while, because obviously you don't hear him do that accent very often. It took a little while to get into it, but it was very good. And you buy him as Ken Miles, and you also buy Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby. Now, John Bernthal played a big wig at Ford, and he was great. He needs to be in more things. He was fantastic. So what's the story? Well, you've got a born to race driver in Ken Miles, Christian Bale, and you've got an ex born to race driver in Matt Damon's Carroll Shelby. Obviously, Carroll Shelby has a heart defect and has to stop. Carroll Shelby being one of the only, well, up until the point of the story anyway, one of the only Americans to win Le Mans 66, or the Le Mans 24-hour Le Mans, sorry. And it's essentially Ford experiencing a sales slump, or just going through struggles, wanting to figure out how to improve the brand. So John Bernthal's character, a bigwig at Ford, head of marketing, says we need to do what Enzo Ferrari does, which is appeal to people that want fast cars, the next generation, appeal to people that actually are enthusiasts, and we can do that by beating him at Le Mans, racing him. That's how we do it. And initially they were on about buying the Ferrari brand, but obviously that didn't happen and was brought out by someone else. And then it just sets in the wheels in motion this epic tale of Carroll Shelby trying to work with his friend Christian Bale's Ken Miles, And the family dynamic between the Miles family, Carroll Shelby, and then the Fords, all of the executives at Ford getting involved, and just the struggle of trying to build the fastest Ford ever, the Ford GT, which is an epic car, really legendary status, and it has well deserved that legendary status. And it's just that story basically, but you buy it, you absolutely buy it from the get-go. Like all of these characters, the interaction, the nuances, the subtleties between them all, just the little expressions between the bigwigs at Ford. It's so expertly crafted, and that is outside of any of the details or the technical aspects of this film. Technically, this film is near perfect. It is so well shot. There are, of course, some CGI race scenes in this. There's specifically a scene where in the Le Mans there's some rain coming down, and you can see that obviously it's CGI rain and it's CGI, but that's even very, very well done. Like everything is well shot, and they obviously built some legacy cars for this film. They didn't race real Ford GTs because they're so incredibly rare and cost so incredibly much money now. But everything looked great. Everything sounded great. And the trick is with cars in film is to get them to sound right. And I don't mean that in terms of, they have to set the right exhaust note and things like that. But it has to be mixed very, very well with everything else that's going on for you to even hear, really, the engine note, the sound of the pedals, the induction note, the intake note. Like, there's so much stuff that you have to take into account here, and they sound mixed it very, very well. And it's not just that either. There's a true emotional aspect to this film, which I didn't think was even a part of this, because again, having seen the trailers, and although I'm a petrolhead myself, I didn't know the story of Ken Miles, and it feels a travesty now, having watched this, to not know that story. But to not know the story of Ken Miles is probably a good thing, because I think you'll enjoy this film more, because there's a lot of surprises along the way. And there's specifically, get my words out, there's specifically a family dynamic between the Miles family and just their interactions with one another, which you do absolutely buy. The child actor that plays Ken Miles' son, I can't find him, I don't think he's listed here, Noah Jupe. He's not in this. He might be good in other things. He's not a very good actor in this. You don't absolutely buy him. But normally my barometer for good actors in, good child actors is really if they irritate me. He didn't annoy me, so he's fine. But you don't absolutely buy him, and that's the only drawback. But really, that's nitpicking, and otherwise near 10 out of 10 film, which is so rare for me to say. I just really, really enjoyed this film, and I think anyone would enjoy this film who likes, well, one, good filmmaking, and two, good stories. This is a very well-crafted story from real life as well, might I add. You know, it's a real-life tale, but they've managed to weave it into a theatrical, a theatrical plot, really, and it's great. It's really, really, really good. Now, I wholeheartedly recommend this film. I endorse it out the arse. It's just the best thing since sliced bread for a while. Go watch it. Highly, highly recommend. Now, let's touch on some brief spoilers. So, you've been warned. Here's your... Yeah, it's only very, very brief, because I just want to touch on the end of the film and the Le Mans race itself. Honestly, I could not believe it. I could not believe it. The race happens. Ken Miles is basically winning, and he takes it for the team. He gets his perfect lap, and the Ford bigwigs say, no, we want you to come in all in a row. It'll all be a draw. But it wasn't a draw, because apparently due to a technicality, someone else had started further back. Therefore, when they pulled in together, he travelled the most distance. And I just thought to myself, what a fucking... honestly, what a shame. You just thought to yourself, this guy, he got his perfect lap. And he finally, Ken Miles, notoriously a hot-headed dude, finally chilled out. He took one for the team, and he just got absolutely beaten for it. And there's no justice in the world. And then after that, Then after that, what happens? He's testing another Ford GT. His brakes fade. And he dies. Just, honestly, like, there's no justice in the world when you see these things. And it's truly heartbreaking. Like, genuinely is. It was such a shame to see. But I love this film. And that's it. Like, there's nothing else really to say. I love this film. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. I think anyone would enjoy this film. Go watch it. Go watch it on IMAX. Well worth it. The picture is incredible. Anyway, guys, if you've seen it, let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Support the channel further. We've got Patreon and we've got merch underneath the video. Thanks so much. Take care.